Or second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 5 is a request from Sunset Estates Norwalk LLC for approval of the final plat of Sunset Estates Plat 4.
Or second.
All in favor, say aye. And that's the sound of my voice.
YouTube finally got caught up to going live, so we're good now.
Are there any members from the public who would like to, no, sorry, we need to hear from the staff first. Elliot, could you brief us on item number 5, please?
Yep, it's just the full phase of the Sunset Estates plan unit development build out. This is right of way extensions of existing roads that are already out there as part of plats 2 and 3. The plat is loaded up in here, as you can see, mostly on the east-west roads. A few of the homes back up to the parkland dedication piece. We're working with the developer on getting that final graded and seeded per Parks Department specifications. We'll have to get verification of that prior to going to City Council. I'll be attending the final infrastructure walkthrough for this on Wednesday, just to check and make sure all the pipes and stuff look good and orderly. 40 single family lots, similar to the development that's going out there right now. That's about all I have. Take any questions if there are any.
No questions? So now is when I ask, are there any members of the public who would like to speak on item number 5 tonight? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to approve the final plat of Sunset Estates Plat 4, if there's no further discussion from the commission.
Samuel's on the motion.
Thompson seconds.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Thompson.
Aye.
Samuelson.
Aye.
Forrest.
Aye.
Reginator.
Aye. Item number
Brown, Brown is an I too. Sorry, guys.
Hey, there you go. Look at it.
I saw them pop up on the screen. That was one.
One time.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah,
Item
sorry
number,
I'm so late.
no, that's okay. Item number 6 is a request from Timbercrest Homes LLC for the approval of the final plat of Brody's Landing South, Plat 3. Elliot, would you brief us, please?
Yep, so this is the final single family phase in the Brody's Landing development area. Land unit development is plotted out. It's south of plats 1 and 2, sensibly enough. 78 lots for, where's that up? 78 lots with some of the outlot areas for parkland dedication, as well as the outlot on the southernmost portion, which handles the stormwater drainage for the majority of the Brody's Landing area. They've already got the east-west road that's going in, or they've already got it installed. It's bordering the apartments. You've been in that corner of the city. You'll have seen those under construction already. There's still some paving that has to be done associated with this, but we got the okay from the city engineer to go ahead and bring this through Planning and Zoning Commission. And we'll wait for his okay to take it to council thereafter. So, happy to answer any questions. I believe we do have Ben here from the engineering firm.
Is this South Street name like filler, or is it going to be named South Street? Like, is it, once it's on here, is that set?
It will have a different name. We can just revise that label prior to the city council approval.
This plat that we made some revisions to some things on the south end due to some utilities,
Yeah, we had to do a PUD amendment because of some
lot sizes.
lot size irregularities.
Any other questions from the commission? Ben, would you like to say anything more?
No, I'm good.
With nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to approve the final plat of Brody's Landing South, Plat 3.
First motions. Brown second.
Larry, would you call the roll, please?
Brown,
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Samuelson.
Aye.
Forrest,
Aye.
Reginator.
Aye. Item number 7, city council update from Ed Cool.
Yes, ma'am. We did a few things at the last council meeting. One of the things that we did was to approve, I'm getting my housing additions mixed up, the names of them, but the one,
Hackney Hills.
okay,
That's.
Hackney Hills, the one for the sled. Anyway, we approved that for 3 reading, so it's off and running. And we also voted through the loan and that accomplished the Novak Central.
Yep.
So that baby's off and running. And what else did we do that,
Wrapped up the readings for the planning or the pool, swimming pool amendment.
yeah,
And readings for the minor PUD amendment for the legacy circle
Yeah.
villas.
yeah, thank you.
Yep.
And we also approved a policy that Luke put in place on the naming of streets and, the public things. And that's one thing I wanted to talk with you just a little bit about, not to take up too much time. But your input on things like that would be welcome too. I had a discussion with the rest of the council and on how things get named, but we don't have a Washington, a Lincoln, you know what I mean? And historical figures, it might be important to the community or the state, it would be nice to be able to recognize those once in a while. I know that many times the developers come in and they've got names laid on the streets and they probably have good reasons for the names they chose, all right? But sometimes when it goes through planning and zoning, they don't have. And there's an opportunity to, name streets or locations or parks or whatever by noteworthy people. I think there's a Congressional Medal of Honor winner from World War II that lived here in Warren County. And I don't believe there's anything named after that person, just things like that, So I would encourage you in the future, if you have a suggestion of something, send it on along. It's nothing you have to vote on, right? You can if you want to, but send a suggestion along because we'd like to be able to consider those things, right? And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is as far as growth and planning for growth in the future, we're part of a area water supply operation, right? And that's transitioning over where it'll no longer be a Des Moines operation, it'll be owned jointly by all the communities involved. But one of the things that we're kind of realizing that we're going to be up against in the metro generally is capacity and capacity for drinking water, right? So now we're kind of checking with each other to see how many of us are willing to throw in together to try to do an addition onto the reservoirs to give us more capacity, right? The reason that this is really important is because the water is a great limiter for growth, right? We cannot control necessarily how fast other communities grow. We can control us, and we can control the kind of growth we have. We want to try to have it in such a way as we don't hit a ceiling necessarily. We grow as we can and as we want to, right? But it's possible if we don't increase the volume of water available over time, that we could very well face a ceiling, right? And then we have to ask ourselves questions like, do we want this much residential? Do we want to try to save this much back for industry or commercial, right? So then it'll become like a balancing thing, right? So it'll get really complicated. And then it's possible that some other community could have a spurt of growth that would negatively impact us because it would take away from the volume. Each community buys an amount of water, right, ahead of time, so that's what you're guaranteed. And not this council, but a council prior to us, right? Set us up in the position we're in now, where we've had sufficient water capacity to be able to move forward. So those are the kinds of things, big picture things that we have to be looking at now to try to get resolved so that we can grow the way we want to, right? And not necessarily the way we have to. But that's discussions going on. If you're curious about it or you want to make any input, that's always welcome. You know, we don't mind talking to people smarter than us. That's a good thing, right? This, I think that's pretty much all the high notes of what happened.
Yeah.
But I appreciate all you folks coming in. Yes, sir.
It was at the end of the council meeting last week where that you guys put up that spreadsheet. I can't remember if that was in comments, kind of wrapping up last council meeting, or was that during the presentation, or was it a work session?
Yeah, it was later toward the end of the council meeting. And I think Luke addressed it. Luke Nelson introduced that.
I would introduce it for nerds like me who want to go back and watch council meetings. There's a session after all the council agenda items are taken over where staff kind of run through things. And Luke did a pretty good job of talking what you said.
Yes, he did.
Here's what our forecast use is. Here's what our potential limitations are. If we get a big commercial user, this is the impact that it
Right,
has
well, the
on that.
spreadsheet that kind of showed.
And I think that's still, I mean, they can go check that, I think, right there, like you're talking on YouTube, you see the spreadsheet. But it definitely shows that if we don't do something, we're gonna be in a bad way, you know.
So would that mean like another water tower or is it something else?
Well, we will have another water tower, but it's bigger than that, you know, we,
Metro-wide thing.
right? See, we have a finite amount of water capacity that we can capture. That's just the way life is. So in order to provide sufficient water for the whole metro area, we have to increase that capacity, right? Which means bigger reservoirs or more reservoirs for them to tap into. So that's what the discussion's about now. But what's really critical, right now, we're talking about 10 million gallons, I think, on this first, addition, right? But we need more than that. They need to plan for an addition beyond that addition, see? So it's going to become interesting moving forward with, what we can do and how we can do it. Understanding that right now projects cost 20% more than you think they would. I mean, they just do. That's the reality of it. So whatever you're building this year, next year, probably looking at a pricey thing, right? After that, hopefully it won't be quite that bad, or no. But it's, I'd encourage you to go take a look at it. It was an interesting and a clear presentation, I think. So I guess if you don't have any questions for me, that's all your time will take up.
Ed, are there some solutions, like when you push that towards a finish line, are there some solutions that we're likely to pursue?
Yeah, I think it's likely that we'll pursue the additions, and probably longer-term planning maybe than what's been done as far as trying to increase the amount of water availability. What's going to change the dynamic is the state legislature required Des Moines to change the management of the operation so that it becomes a regional, truly regional, and all the communities have votes on what becomes of things. That's good and bad, right? It's good because we all get a voice and a seat at the table, but it's bad because you also have all those different opinions and all those different votes to sway, But I think a rational thinker would see it and probably realize that we need to do these things, right? Because I think all the other communities are going to continue to grow too.
What, just off that comment, what's the voice against it? I would assume every community's wanting to grow.
I
Or is
just,
it pretty unanimous?
well, I would think it would be unanimous.
Mhm.
And logic would tell you that it wouldn't be a problem, right? But life's not that way, right? So-
The thing that would come to my mind would be like a Windsor Heights that doesn't maybe see a lot of
Sure.
growth potential,
Sure.
and Clive's getting kind of landlocked.
Yep.
My guess would be that's probably the minority of voices in the area.
Mm,
Those people wanting to secure good water availability, because it's a metro. Ed makes a good point, like, one side starts taking off,
It affects.
it's gonna use everybody. So Windsor Heights can end up in a water deficiency through no growth of their own.
Right,
If the metro isn't continually making sure that we have enough water for everyone.
right. So it's in everybody's interest to do this, but the question is, making sure we get it done.
Well, the biggest question for us as a community locally will probably end up being, at what level do we participate, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
we're
right.
gonna have a choice at some point in the future. How many millions of gallons are we gonna say we wanna reserve out of
Right.
this thing?
Yep.
And then we're lucky that we've got smart public works and city management people that do fancy spreadsheets and they can get us a pretty good target of what we think we need, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly right.
yeah.
It's, life's easier if you work with smart people. Yes, sir.
Totally not water related, but I'd like to thank council for limiting fireworks days this year. I think everybody would agree there's a noticeable difference. And I guess I don't know if that's
It
the
was
fact that
nice.
we limited it to 3 days or the fact that novelty is just wearing off after it's been legal for so many years. But it was a lot quieter and there was a lot more adherence to hours this year than there has been.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that earlier.
Yeah,
It seemed quieter in my neighborhood, but
It was,
I would say both the days and the hours. I mean, I didn't hear much past 10:30.
Yeah. it was-
yeah.
Mhm.
much better.
Well, the only feedback I got was a negative email, and this individual said that I was taking away his freedom, and he remembered that on election day. And, I mean, I can't disagree with the guy. It is limiting his freedom, but in the
So is the speed
community, you
limit.
gotta balance, the rights of other people too. And anyway,
I mean,
we'll try this.
It has
and
the
see.
word limit on it.
First year looks pretty good, first year looks pretty good. But our frustration in the area of fireworks is sales and its location of sales, right? And the fact that we can't touch it, we can't do anything about it. The one, I'll get on a tirade here, but the one location that really upsets me is right next to an occupied house and right in front of, and directly in front of apartments, right? It's crazy, right? But because of the state law, we can't touch them. There's nothing we can do about it, right? It's just totally bizarre. So we're gonna take a run at it. I have really lambasted our representative and our senator, and they're good friends of mine, right? But I told them, this is stupid, right? Somebody needs to put some rules down. That's where safety goes, distances, right? And where. And so I'm optimistic that maybe in the next session, we'll be able to move forward and get some progress on it. I really hope so. But that's my frustration, not with the fireworks discharge so much, but with the sales,
It's like any other change they've done with fireworks, they will adopt it in like April of next year and give me a good 3-week lead time.
This year it was the week. This year it was basically the week that council restricted it to the industrial zones, like
Yeah,
because that came
But 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks later. So, yeah. Under
Yeah.
control.
I don't know if there's a copious amount of campaign donations being made or exactly what's going on there, but I've asked that question.
It'll be litigated again because there were several communities that still enforce their laws.
Yeah,
We just threw our hands up and said, all right, Wild West time.
yeah, crazy. Anyway, if you don't have any other questions, I'll end my spiel. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Item number 8 is economic development update from Holly. I don't think Holly is with us.
No, she is still overseas on the Kosovo.
She's probably on the coast now.
Yeah, sister city trip stuff, so, yeah, I think they're coming back soon, so, but I guess on that front, as Ed mentioned, we approved the loan for the core building, so that's gonna keep that moving. Ed also mentioned projects coming in about 20% over where they are, and that project's no different, so, but they think we got some good rates on some things, so we should be
Yeah.
pretty good with some dollars for that project. So that's chugging along. Elliot, we got in this week a good number of plats related to the Hughes area and construction documents. So we're getting the
Good.
next phase of that stuff
Good.
lined up. So it's all coming together from that respect. Other economic development stuff. That's our main stuff. Continue to work on potential industrial stuff with our comp plan and everything down along the river and that North River Interceptor sewer. Making progress on potential easement vacation of our own park property so we can put that sewer through there. So
Hey, can I get one alibi? This on, this is from a couple of weeks ago, but the other project that everybody was, several people were upset about with the townhomes and the.
oh, the Hackney Hills.
Was that Hackney Hills?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Anyway, we were able to resolve differences of opinions with the developer as well as the residents across the street, right? And they were able to come to just rearranging some things so that it all worked out and everybody seemed to leave the table happy. And, you know, nobody said harsh words to me yet, so.
Luke, Ed, I've got a question about how that situation works. So to me, I'm gonna say, here's my read of how it worked. We, on the planning and zoning, we review. Our job is to sort of say, hey, does this satisfy the planning and zoning requirements?
Yep.
I think we were delighted to hear then, when you move that to city council, you get to do some other things along the lines of conversation. So I kind of am like, I think that the stuff worked in the way it's supposed to work. Like we go, yeah, it does. I mean, this is in line, we approve it. It was nice that to hear that you guys had some conversation and worked something out. But I guess my question is, am I right in kind of going, this is like, this is how this thing kind of works?
Correct. So there would be a line, there's a point in a project where if it was at council, where council was saying, this just isn't working with it, and we want you to go back and do stuff where council may say, this is changing substantially from what was at planning commission, go all the way back there and start the whole process over.
Yeah.
They
Right.
did it on this one because of just, they moved a part of the projects out. They didn't really fundamentally change what they were doing.
Right.
Those of you that might remember, Holland Point was originally at council, or P&Z and council, called Paxton Point. And it failed at council, and they didn't like all kinds of things about it. So they said, you know what, you need to go back to the drawing board completely. And so Hubble came back, so much so that they abandoned the name of it and rebranded it, and brought it back through in a different manner that met more of the expectations of council at that point in time. So there's a line, and there's no definitive, like, when does it go back? It's really kind of is this substantially changed? Are we still approving kind of what you guys recommended or not? So it's kind of a gut feeling at that point.
But I think you aren't strictly limited to, you're not a rubber stamp, right? This body is not a rubber stamp.
Definitely.
So if somebody comes in and they meet all the legal requirements, that's not necessarily the end of the trail, okay? Because you can consider how it fits into a neighborhood. You could consider what the residents have to say and the worthiness of their comments. And you can have discussions with the developer that's here, you know. You can do that prior to a vote, right?
Yep.
And you can ask them, you know, what do you think about that? Right? I mean, is there a way to resolve that? And so it's not that you can't do that, right? But your basic assumption is correct. If all the legal things are met, right, then you really don't have much of a basis to say no. But part of the legal requirements, and correct me if I'm wrong, is not just have they checked all the boxes on their project. It's does it fit into the community around it, right? Is it copacetic with the community around it? So you think about more than just that project and just that development, right? Just like the council has a whole host of things to consider that are even beyond, you know, what you folks are forced to consider, right? So each step of it, and we've had misunderstandings in the past where things have been approved by P&Z and they get to the council and they fail or they're changed, right? But what happens is there's other information that aren't necessarily in your bailiwick that bears on it, right? And maybe even sometimes things change between now and then. I mean, that's I've seen that happen too, you know. So the council appreciates what you do. We really do. And your time is well spent. It really is. And I think a good scrubbing here of things that are presented really helps a ton. It really does help it going forward. And, you know, I learn a lot just by getting to sit in and listen to the discussions, right? So when it comes before us, I get a little bit more background on it. So I like that, you know, but. So was I pretty close?
I think so.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions? Item number 9, community development update from Luke.
Just the big thing is, Thursday nights are open house for the comp plan. That'll be at the Lakewood School at 6 p.m. We're doing some Facebook and mailings and stuff today. I think the school is gonna send out a mailer, so hopefully you're bombarded with it in the next couple days, and that means everyone else is bombarded with it too.
Yeah, because it's gonna be up by my house, isn't it?
Yeah, short walk over. You
Yeah.
Better be there.
Yeah.
We also sent out, probably a month ago, 3 weeks ago, letters to folks outside of town that are kind of in the growth area that we're kind of talking about. And so we're starting to get some phone calls from those folks just with some questions about things as well. So hopefully they come and take the opportunity to discuss things as well. So that's really the big thing. Elliot, any big plan submission news? Got all the youth stuff in.
Yeah, we got a retail building,
That's right.
Farms of Holland by City State.
Yep, North of City.
We got 2 residential final plats that will be coming at the next meeting. I was supposed to get one of them onto this agenda, but just didn't make it. Yeah, I've got about a dozen plats and site plans under review right now, so. Which almost all of those came in like within the last 2 weeks.
We're gonna be due for a long agenda one of these days.
I'm trying to group them together. I've been trying to group them together to like 1 meeting a month.
Yeah.
For, you know, selfish reasons that I think all of us.
Might have to bring some refreshments.
All right, our next meeting will be July 25th, 2022 at 5:45. Don't forget to respond to Elliot about quorum check. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Front second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Being adjourned at 6:22 p.m.
All right, here we go, not bad.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Carson, for being a part.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Gentlemen.